Now another big change we're seeing in the Arctic is species are moving far north of their historic range. These are alder trees in far north of the Brooks Mountain Range and far north of the historic tree line. And again, what's happening as this forest marches north, it's destroying the tundra habitat, which is the main habitat of why all the birds from all over the world go up to breed there. And we're going to probably see a lot of loss of endangered bird habitat as the tundra turns into forest. Arctic char and grayling, all the northern fish species are threatened. Another thing scientists would have laughed at just a decade ago was salmon in the Arctic Ocean. I mean, salmon live south in the Yukon River and the southern parts of Alaska, central and southern. But now they're finding salmon in the Arctic Ocean. And they're out competing the Arctic char and other species that live there and Arctic cod, so causing a major disruption. Another big change is in the fox populations. The Arctic fox is well adapted to the far north, but the red fox has marched 600 miles north in places because it's getting warmer. And the red fox outcompetes the Arctic fox and pushing the Arctic fox into oblivion. It's already decreased its territory by about 1/2 in the last 20 years as the red fox has marched north. It's being pushed into the Arctic Ocean and it just can't go any farther. Salmon, too, are threatened. Even though they're getting into the Arctic Ocean, salmon are threatened by three things. One, that Yukon River has gone up 10 degrees Fahrenheit in the last 25 years on average, according to the Christian Science Monitor. And now there is parasites eating away at the muscle tissue of the salmon. Well, they need their muscle to swim thousands of miles, and that's one problem. Another one is salmon sharks are greatly increasing, eating up the salmon. And the streams that they need to breed are warming up so much it's threatening where they need to create new salmon. Let's get into those threats there. And another huge impact is the killing of millions of acres of forest in Alaska. And we're seeing it all over the world in the western parts of the U.S. here as well. As what's happened is these insect outbreaks that used to be kept in check by a week of -40 and some -60-degree temperatures, and now we don't see -60-degree temperatures in Alaska like we used to. And now the -40 degrees are so rare that it's not killing back the insects that now are increasing in such numbers they're killing off millions of acres of forest. Those forests are now burning such that you can't breathe in Fairbanks because of all the smoke in the summertime. And what's really scary, and what the Pentagon is so concerned with the abrupt climate change, is that this climate change, this global warming, is actually creating more warming, the feedback loops. And there's a heck of a lot of these. I'll just mention two of the most major ones here. One is the albedo effect. That's where the snow and ice used to reflect 80 to 90% of the sunlight. Well, now as it is melting away, the open earth absorbs 80 to 90%, and same with the oceans. The ocean's ice reflected 80 to 90%. The open ocean absorbs 80 to 90%, causing more warming. And this here, you can see the chart of it showing the decrease in snow-covered area throughout the Arctic. And this showing the increase in melt period, the portion of the year that's melted going drastically up on every part of the Arctic. And another big feedback loop is that 14% of the world's carbon is in the permafrost. As the permafrost melts, it releases this carbon, causing more climate change. Same with the methane. Methane is stored in the permafrost. As it melts, it's being released, and it also causes the greenhouse effect. There's no question in this day and age that we are the cause of this change. The Earth was in a very slow, gradual, glacial pace of change from one ice age to another, so slow that you can barely even see it on a graph, and nature could vastly increase the diversity of life with this slow, glacial pace of change. What's happened is that we are increasing the pace of change at such a rate, exponentially, upwards of 100 times faster than anything that nature has seen. in the same direction that nature is going, and increased temperature, and that is what's caused the huge problems that we have. Now, one of the big problems is that we don't see the fossil fuels. You know, you turn on a light, you don't see the mountaintop removal, you don't see the train loads of coal that bring the fossil fuels that turn the lights on. Like we used to do when we used wood, we carried an armload at a time. We were aware of using our energy, and actually burning wood doesn't cause greenhouse gas emissions because that would be released anyway as the wood rotted. It's the burning of fossil fuels that cause it. This is where the Trans-Alaska Pipeline, the drunk hunter shot a hole in it and spilled 285,000 gallons of oil. And that's the problem, is that it's out of sight and out of mind. When it comes into us, you know, in a pipe, you just don't see the fossil fuels. It's easy to not be aware of the massive changes that we're causing. And again, a very direct correlation: as we increase greenhouse gas emissions, temperatures go up. Very simple science that's saying that we are causing this major change. Again, this shows over 2,000 years. You can see, you can't really tell the warming trend. It's just so minuscule. So it went down low. But then, what we're seeing today is a spike. And this is something I'm surprised hasn't gotten more publicity. Very well documented. 6 out of 7 tornadoes today can be considered caused by climate change. The number of reported tornadoes has gone up by more than 7-fold. It's now up to above 1,400 today, just in the last 55 years. So a tremendous increase in the number and severity of tornadoes. Again, directly related to climate change as the wind speeds go up. And same thing with hurricanes. I'm working on a book, Climate Change and Hurricanes. Very simple science. Now, historically, we've averaged 1 Category 5 hurricane every 10 years in the Atlantic. Never in history have we had more than 1 Category 5 in a year in the Atlantic, except for last year. We had 3. Of course, we know Katrina, Wilma, and Rita all reached Category 5 strength, seeing a tremendous change. And what's happening is the warming ocean temperatures. This is a graph showing all the world's ocean temperatures, and you can see it's vastly going up. And very simple science: as the ocean temperatures go up, the number of hurricanes goes dramatically up as well. Now, what's really scary is when we start looking into the next century. What we've already seen is a vastly dramatic increase in temperature, but what we're expecting to see is vastly more. These models are if we continue current trends, which is the pace we're going. This is if we not only implement the Kyoto Protocol, but also a lot of other measures to greatly reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And what we really should do is see something like this, which would mean a massive shift immediately towards solar, wind, efficiency, and away from fossil fuels. So